Alicia. Back at Alicia's, guys.
Back at Alicia's. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling everything.
Yes.
Everything all at once right now. There's been so much going on and so much leading up to this moment. So many people have asked me that question, like, how do you feel? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's honestly just everything.
It's kind of funny to think about the first time that we spoke, and we spent so much time talking about how you had gone from like considering yourself just an actor to being like, oh, I'm also doing a little bit of like directing. Now you're a singer.
Yeah, so we're diving into a little bit of everything. I mean, I've always loved doing entertainment in any way. I started in musical theater actually, so technically did formulate from singing, but I sort of moved on to screen acting about 14, but I still wanted to sing, and I still had the musicality in me, really. So when my mom got me like this cheap guitar from Aldi, I was like, let's go. So then just me and my little cheap acoustic guitar started writing some songs, and now here we are. I mean, presenting them on the big screen. I'm so excited.
We're actually experiencing a bit of a full circle then, really.
Honestly, yeah, it all just comes back to where you came from, and how your like where your heart is and what is exuding out of you, really, because I've always sort of had like the music. Yeah, it's always been there in the back of my mind. Yeah.
What can you tell us about your song?
Well, don't tell my mom and dad, but it's about this boy that broke my heart.
Always the way.
Always the way.
Muse.
Exactly. I started writing it when I went over to America, and then finished it back here in Australia. It's basically about the distance between these two people, and just like going through stuff without the ability to connect with the person that you went through that situation with. And I'm very excited. I do have some concepts that I'm not going to reveal, but I'm very excited to sort of bring it to screen. I have lots of ideas in my brain and lots of shots that I really want to get. So hopefully we get them.
And I'll ask you at least one question about this role that you've just played. I just spoke to Jack about this as well, and I'm really curious to know what you feel like the biggest character growth was for you, because obviously there's a lot of moving pieces happening in the plot, but you obviously, I would say, had quite a large character, and I feel like you were really given an opportunity for that character to grow. What do you think the arch was?
I think that Iris definitely had the biggest, like the most noticeable and most obvious. It was very portrayed on screen, but what a lot of people sort of, I mean, obviously being the actor and diving into the character a bit more, you sort of don't realize that it's just, she was like that all along. Iris was wanting to help people, whether or not she had to make the small sacrifice or the big sacrifice from the get-go. And it's just more that she came out of her shell was more the point, that she got the courage to do what she sort of always had at the beginning. She knew, like, that's why she was the medic to begin with. She was always going to help people, and she was always going to have everyone in her heart. So yeah, I reckon that's probably the biggest thing, was her courage, was her biggest arc, I think.
Well, that's great to know. I am going to be honest, all my questions I can think of, I really want to ask the Alice daughters all together. So I'm sure I will see you again in a moment with the other Alice daughters.
I'm so excited.
Thank you for this.
Thank you.